Hello, Voltrex development. This is aesthetical, and I'm going to be doing a music bot tutorial with Discord.js. So, getting right into it, we're first going to install our dependencies. I'll be using Yarn, but you can still use npm. It's basically the same thing. All the commands will be the same. Nothing's changed. So for mine, I just do Yarn init. And I can just kind of breeze through it. Then I can do yarn add discord.js/discord.js for the master branch. It's the same thing for npm, except it's npm I instead of yarn add. Then yarn add lavaclient. There we go. Everything has been added. So now we need to make a config file. So briefly, we're going to be doing exports.token, which is a string. This is your bot's authentication. So keep this private. Exports.token equals exports.prefix. You can have this at whatever you want. This is a comma, but you can have whatever you want. And then this part, exports.nodes, which you'll need to follow along here. It's an array of objects. So it's an ID, which is node 1, or whatever you want to call it. The port is just the port that comes with Lavalink. The host is just localhost. And then the password is just you shall not pass. Now, I would usually keep the host as localhost if you're running Lavalink locally on your VPS or computer. But that also reminds me of VPS. Now, you may wonder, okay, well, at the end of this series, how am I going to host this 24/7? Well, we have the answer for you. Hosting bot.
This is HostingBot, a cheap, fast and reliable hosting company. They provide many services such as virtual private servers, hybrid servers, dedicated servers and website hosting. Starting at such a cheap price, you can get a 10 gigabit per second port speed. This is perfect for music bots. Perhaps you cannot afford a price like this. Maybe we can interest you with 30% off each month. Enter the code Voltrex in the promo code and you will be able to get this VPS as low as just over $3 a month. If you're having doubts, just look at all these happy customers.
Now that we're back after that ad, the password, the same thing. You can have whatever you want. Just make sure your application is YML. It's the same thing. Otherwise, it won't connect. So now, we just have a structures folder. And we're going to make a command event handler. So, what you'll need is a reader sync from fs. Then you also need join from path. Then you'll define dir, which is join dir name dot commands. Then you'll export a function which you'll pass through the client in your index file. Now we're just going to run a for loop for const file of reader sync dir. And obviously we don't want to run any files that aren't JavaScript files, so we're going to filter the files that end with JS. So now I'll just get the props, which is just requiring it so you can get any functions. So mine is just going to be dir file, then client.modules.set props.help.name and props. Then you want to you don't have to do this, but I like doing this. You want to console log client.modules.size commands have been loaded. Now, so this part is now basically the same thing for the event handler, except obviously you want to change this part to event. So now module.export, which is another function, pass to the clients. We also need to define a variable. This is going to be named events, which is read dir sync dir dot filter file that ends with .js. You'll see what we did in a second. So for const file of events, then you just want to define event, which you'll again require the dir and file. Then client.on, you're gonna want file that's split by the dot and then shift, so you're left with the file name. Then you'll want to just do file or event that bind no client. Then you'll just return console log events.length events loaded. So that's that. So now make our index file, which here we'll want to import client and a collection from Discord.js. So we also want the token and the nodes from our config file. Gotta spell that right. Then we also want to import manager from lavaclient. So again, you're just gonna make new instance of the client. You can have whatever options you want. But then clients.modules equals a new collection. Then we want to do client.music equals new manager. You'll supply the nodes, and then you'll want to shard count. So if you're sharding after the question mark is the shard count. But if you are never going to shard, then you just have this at 1. Make sure this is at 1. Do not put it at 0, otherwise it will error. Then you want to send an ID and a packet. Then you want to get the guild, because you won't want to send it to some random guild. So client.guild.cache.get the ID, which returns guild. But if this is what we check. If there's a guild, then you're going to send and return guild.shard.send packet. Now we'll also want to get the command and events from the structures, which we'll just map it out here. H require from the structures folder, the H, and then we'll just pass to the client. Then we'll finally want to send our voice updates. Make sure you do this, because if your bots join the voice channel but it's not playing music, this is probably the main reason why. And you want to do server update with the packet client.ws on voice state update. Then you want to get the packet client.music.state update, which you just need a packet. Then you can finally log into the bot with the token. That's all for our index file. Now we'll need 2 events. We'll just need the ready event, and so just need module.exports, which is just client. We'll make this async. So you also want to await client.music.init client.user.id. Make sure you supply the user ID or the correct client ID if you're not using the client here, because otherwise it will not play. Then I'll just do a simple console log client.user.tag is ready. Then for the message events, we'll just want to get a few simple things. So you want the prefix from the config file. Then you'll just want to export the function again, which you'll have a client and a message. So then you'll check if there's no message.guild or message.author.bot or message.content does not start with, and you'll just want the prefix. You'll just return. So now that that's done, we want to get the command and then the args. Make sure it's 3 dots. Then you want the message.content. Make it 2 lowercase. Then you want to slice off the prefix length so you're left with the command for this one right here. Then you want to trim to get rid of any white spaces. And then you'll want to split again to return an array. Then this regex. So then you want to find the command, which is in the client modules collection. So we use collection.find, and then you'll use c.help.name equals cmd, or c.help.aliases that includes cmd. Now you can check if you're not going to have aliases. You can check if it's an array, and you can also check if it's that. But we'll always just have it as an empty array if we don't have an alias. So, anyways, if there's a command, you just run the command. So command.execute client message works. Now that's done, we can finally get into the thing that we want, the play command, which we'll just play. Then we'll also want to make a REST manager, which will just make requests to the Lavalink API so we can get tracks. So I'm going to get the nodes, and we're going to require it from the config const fetch from node fetch. Discord.js already comes with it, so we're fine here. Module.exports equals, and then we'll export a class, rest. Then we'll just have a static async search on the truck. And you'll just want the host, port, and the password, and you'll get the first node. Then you'll just return the data. So return await, await fetch .json, because I'll just return the JSON response. So when HTTP as HTTP, then you'll do the host and the port, then the load tracks, and the identifier is going to equal to track. And then for your headers, you want the authorization, which is the password. Make sure you have that copied down right, especially the link. You don't want to do this. That's a common mistake I see. You want to make sure identifier is spelled right. You want to make sure that unless you're running it from a website that's HTTPS, you want to make sure it's HTTP, because if you're running locally, that's what you want. Now you can import the REST from the structures folder. Now you can just run module.exports. Now you want execute, which is just async client message args, and then help, which we'll just do the name. Let's play, and then you'll want the aliases, which is p, and that's all we'll do for now. So if there's no args.length, return message.reply. You must provide a song argument. So then you can also check the channel, which you just structure from message.member.voice. So this can return a voice channel or undefined. So that's where we check if there's no channel or channel.joinable. So if the bot cannot join the channel, we'll just return a message saying oops, I cannot join that channel. There you go. Now we will want to search the tracks. So const tracks equals await rest dot search. Now you'll want to check if the args.join that includes HTTPS. If it does, then you'll just return encode URI args.join. That encodes the URI. Don't do encode URI component, but otherwise just do. Since YouTube was not being very nice to me, I'll be using SoundCloud, but you should be able to use YouTube. SU search, and then you could just do encode URI component args.join. So then, if there's no tracks that length, since tracks does return an array of the track, just return a message of reply. Nothing was found for your search query. Now, we also want, I forgot, we need the player, so const player equals client dot music dot players that get the message dot guild ID, or you're just going to make it await because it returns promise client dot music dot create, and you'll just want to provide the guild ID. And since we don't have a queue, we'll just return if player dot playing. You're just gonna return message reply. A song is already playing. Now, we'll go back out down here. If player dot connected, underscore connected is a private property. So if you're using TypeScript, you just do TS. I take nowhere, but we're not, so you can await player.connect to your voice channel. And there's also an options, which is an object. So you can do self-mute and then self-def. I'll be turning on self-def. You don't have to, but it's just my preferred way. Then if player.playing and player.paused await player.play tracks 0.track. Then you're just gonna send a message saying playing now tracks 0.info the title. Then we'll do a simple player.onEnd, which will be an async function. Then you'll just await client.music.destroy, which removes the player from the players map on the manager, but you want to supply a guild ID. Then you can just return a message that channel that sent song has concluded. So that's about it for the play command for now. So I'll be getting the token. I'll be right back. Now, we need to start Lavalink. So you'll open up a new terminal. We have this one already. You do not want to start the bot yet. So you want to cd into Lavalink. And you want to java jar lavalink.jar. Now I'll show you how to get this in a second. So there's that, and then you can run node dot, which should forgot to put events. There we go. So where you can get the Lavalink files is that you'll want to go, well, firstly, you want to install Java 11 or above. If you're running it locally on Windows, you want the MSI file. Otherwise, I'll leave a bunch of links in a paste bin telling you how to install it on Linux on your VPS. Then you'll want to download all out of the zip file. So then you'll want to unpack it, place it into a Lavalink directory like I do here. Then, after you've done that, you want to have a application.yml, which I was talking about earlier, which stores your port, the address, and the password. You can also do IP blocks, rate limits, all of that. But that's not for now. So if you need any help, just ping me in the other support channel. So now we can head on over to Discord. Alright, now we're on Discord. Now we can make sure that our play command runs correctly. I must provide a song argument. So I'm going to turn down my volume. So now we'll go to testing. Then we'll just play non-copyright sounds. Load. Alright, so this will be an error with the fetching of the REST manager. So let's see what I did wrong. We got the host and the port. Identifier. Oh. Yeah, that should be why. Alright, that was the reason. Identifier. So I spelled that wrong. So now we can run it. Nothing should go wrong when we play NCS. Thanks, Vinoxity. It will join, and you should hear it start playing. Sorry about that last error, but hopefully you learned something from this tutorial. Stay safe.